Todd Thompson, currently a full-time police officer and owner of Evo K9 Group. Been a police officer for 20 years, was in K9 for 18, SWAT for 9. Those entire 9 years that I was on SWAT, I was responsible for being the SWAT dog handler.
Okay.
So numerous trainings and conferences and stuff like that, and then just really kind of specializing in small unit tactics because we were a small agency, just getting ready to integrate a dog into the units, so that's where our focus was. I live in a small community and we were on call for K9 and my phone goes off and it's a K9 deployment and I'm like, oh, I got to get ready. We got to factor in drive time. We got to go take care of this guy. And it was to find a escaped prison convict that had escaped and was held up in a house. Well, I'm getting all my stuff ready and I look down at my phone and it's in my cul-de-sac. So I can see the house from my driveway. It's like, that's where we got to go. And it ended up being a lady that was housing what she thought was a lovable brand new boyfriend, but he was actually an escaped convict from down south at one of our prisons. And so we made announcements. Ronin at the time went downstairs, located him, made contact in the basement, and he was taken into custody. So that deployment in itself made the block parties a little awkward, but yeah, our fastest and quickest deployment that we ever had.
You can talk about Ronin.
Talk about Ronin. We'll talk about the beginning of Ronin.
Yeah.
So we selected Ronin from Von Wick Kennels out in Denver, Indiana. Brought him back home, and just immediately we knew that he was a different dog. We introduced him. He sailed through patrol, sailed through narcotics, and then we introduced him to SWAT dog tactics, and he excelled at it. He was one of those dogs that had the great on and off switch. He knew when it was time to work, and he knew when it was time for play. He was great for our smaller agency in our smaller city to do demos and stuff like that because he just had the mentality for it. He was a showman, very obedient, and just, I don't know. They say that as you get your dogs, your first dog, you kind of get by with it. Your second dog gets better. Lots. Hey, lots.
I love you.
Yeah. Your second dog gets better. Your third dog gets better. Maybe your fourth dog gets even better. But with Ronin, he was my third dog, and just commands were like no longer necessary. He just knew exactly what I needed him to do. He just knew the look on my face. Definitely a therapy dog for me because coming back from a hard call and coming back into the patrol car, he just knew. And he provided me with that comfort and stuff. And I got a little bit more connected to him than I had with any of my other dogs. And Ronin just, I don't know, he came at the right time for both of us and excelled in the department, excelled doing SWAT dog stuff, patrol stuff, narcotics. And then, as you know, in February, it was a Friday, started my shift. He ran out to the car, hopped in the patrol car. We were ready to go. And about midway through the shift, that's when he collapsed in the back of the patrol car. We immediately knew something was wrong. We went to our local vets and stuff, and they did test after test after test. At one of the last specialists that we went to, they went ahead and took a sample from his stomach and realized that his stomach was filling full of blood and that there was some sort of tumor or something that had ruptured. We had no idea. None whatsoever. None. I mean, as we all know with working dogs, they're the last ones to tell you there's something wrong with them. Mm-hmm. And Ronin was that way. I mean, he hopped up in the patrol car, ready to do his shift, and then just collapsed on me. And then Saturday, as a last resort, we took him up to a specialist up in Fort Collins. They did one last scan of him, and they said that the cancer that we didn't know about was just spreading so rapidly. And that's the tough call between handler and dog, is making that call of, hey bud, it's been a good run, but I don't want you in pain, because I've always been trained quality of life, quality of life, quality of life. Don't hang on to them because you want to hang on to them.
Right.
And then we went ahead and made the decision that we would go ahead and put him down. And we had called back to our agency and called back all of our friends, called you guys and stuff, and said that we were southbound on I-25 to get to our vet to make that final trip. And it was so amazing, from Fort Collins, Colorado, all the way down to Castle Rock, Colorado. Almost every overpass had a patrol car. And he was pretty doped up in the back of the truck, didn't know much of what was going on. He slept the entire way, probably about a 2-hour drive, going code. It was a little bit faster. But we got down to the vet, and the entire off-ramp was lined with everybody we had ever trained with. And he knew it, and he mustered up enough whatever to stand up. And when he saw all the lights and the patrol cars and stuff, he started barking. And I had to tell him that we weren't going to training. Yeah. Anyhow, you and I guaranteed ourselves we wouldn't do this, but anyhow, but he thought he was going to training. Thought he was going to go to work. And I had to tell him that we weren't going to work.
All units stand by. All units stand by. K9 Ronin has answered his final call. We thank you for your 5.5 years of service and dedication with your handler, Officer Thompson. You will be remembered by all. K9 Ronin, end of watch on February 8th, 2020. Dispatch clear 1910.
And then we took him in, and everybody said their goodbyes, and that was that. But my story is no different than any other handler that's had to put their dogs down. This one hit a little bit harder than the other ones because of just how connected we were. So, but to have all those agencies there, that was awesome. And then Ronin's story actually continues on into Havoc's story, because I had told myself that I didn't want another dog. I was done. I was done doing this and putting myself through it. And a breeder that we knew called and said, I have a male Dutch who was the only survivor in the litter. And I was like, you got to question your faith and go, is this it? And I think it has been, because he's been amazing. So he's helped me through that stuff. So yeah, damn you, and there's your story of Ronin.
Good. Yeah, no, he was a exceptional dog.
Yeah.
I still have scars from him.
Yeah. Lots.
So what's your career path look like now?
Right now I'm back on patrol, and as difficult as that was to make the transition from K9 to patrol, it's actually opened several doors for me. I accepted a position with HRD K9 to do their SWAT dog instructor stuff with a great group of guys. Here pretty soon we'll be traveling the United States, helping agencies learn about the integration of K9 into SWAT, because what a great piece to add to your already effective SWAT team is one of these guys. To show an agency that at one time you used a dog to protect one guy, now use a dog to protect and search for 12 guys. Mm-hmm. So we're excited about that. We're excited about the travel and sharing, this amazing piece of equipment in that, that tough time of SWAT call.
How important is the gear you use with your dogs?
Gear, I guess, so I don't get hammered on, the internet. Gear isn't everything, but it is a tremendous part of what we do, both in training dogs in the private sector, and then also the gear that we use on our dogs when we're deploying. We need gear that we know is not going to fail, because the time out in the field, looking for that bad guy, that armed subject, that's not the time for a leash to break. That's not the time for a flashlight to go down. That's not the time for, a harness to not work. It's not the time for a zipper to break on a bulletproof vest for your dog. That's not the time. And so equipment has been paramount for us. I'm kind of a gear geek, and I really research all of the gear that we use. for me, I can honestly say I only use the best, and it's one of those buy once, cry once. I understand that sometimes stuff is expensive, but it's worth it. It's worth every dime, and especially in the careers of military and law enforcement. A lot of times, yeah, agencies will buy your stuff, but a lot of times handlers are buying their own stuff. And I know that the stuff that I buy is going to last. And unlike a civilian buying a leash, I'm a police officer buying a leash knowing that that leash may save my dog's life or it may save my life. And I don't have time for second best.
So what's your history with Ray Allen?
History with Ray Allen. Several years ago, we had linked up with Ray Allen simply out of convenience because you guys were just down the road from us. And we had already, for the years that I'd been in K9, I had just used so much Ray Allen gear that it just seemed natural to continue using it. We then branched out into being able to sit down with Ray Allen and come up with some different products. I know we've kind of worked together on coming up with some great harnesses that were no nonsense, that were built to last, but at the same time looked super cool. They didn't hamper the dog's movement, and were durable. Because again, finding out that your equipment doesn't work on the call for service, that's the wrong time. And we had a great track record with everything that we had purchased from Ray Allen. And even if we did come across a fray or something like that, it got taken care of. So the customer service portion of that on the backside was what drawed us to work with Ray Allen even more, because there was service after the sale, which is important for us. Because there's other places that you'll buy stuff and go, well, sorry, we got your money, we're done. And Ray Allen's never been like that. So we were excited to link up with Ray Allen, and Ray Allen was open to our ideas on development and materials and design. And I think we've come up with some pretty good items.
Yeah, I remember with the Icon.
Yes.
It was two buckles and it was slipping, and
yep.
It
was too far forward. Yeah. It was rubbing the dog.
Yeah.
It was really a dress rehearsal. Mm-hmm. That it was painstaking, but in the end, we got a fantastic piece of equipment.
Right. And
then that later led on to the Nomad, mm-hmm. and the Nomad, I mean, in the industry in the circles that I run in, right. That's the harness to have.
Right.
It's bulletproof.
Right.
It really is. Now we've decided to take on a venture of doing some protection dog training for private citizens, law enforcement agencies, and then just basic obedience. I started a company called Evo K9 Group. I called it Evo because we really, as a training organization, we have evolved, and we need to evolve because we're actually importing and raising different dogs now. So we need to evolve just as much as they are. So that's why I decided to call it Evo K9 Group, and we're specializing in protection dogs for the those that can afford it, those that need it, and then basic dog obedience for those that need it as well. And it's become very fulfilling. A lot of the people that I have clients with are tremendous people that love dogs just as much as I do. And at Evo, we just want you to get the most out of your dog so that they can fulfill your life. So that's where we're at.
And where can people find you?
Right now, I'm Low Buck. You guys can find me on Instagram at Evo K9 Group, and then on Facebook at the same call as Evo K9.